The idea that horror movies are left in the dusty attic of your movie routine until Halloween or dreary times is absolutely ridiculous. True fans of horror understand that the best time to burst out the gory, bloody stuff is any and every time. Who would want to pass up the chance to be scared half to death and have their hearts racing in their mouth? Not a true fan of horror, definitely. The genre of horror movies began to take a robust turn for the better in this decade, with the most excitingly terrifying films ever recorded taking wing and flying into cinema success. But if you're going to be honest with yourself, you'd know that this genre that you admire so much has a lot of garbage deep-rooted among the good stuff. You have the films that tried too hard and messed up the whole thing. Then you have the ones that didn't try enough because they were playing it safe, but instead you got a children's bedtime story as a result. Luckily for you, Netflix loves to stock up the absolute best, so you can sit tight and enjoy the goriest, nastiest, and scariest films to your heart's content. Number 10. Escape Room. Think Jumanji mixed with Inception and you have Escape Room all figured out. This movie shows a height of psychological warfare that you love to see and follows a group of people who are forced to navigate a series of nearly impossible to escape rooms. This group of 6 people are drawn into a warped world after they're presented with a puzzle cube. Come on, it's what, 2020, and you're still not chucking strange objects that look creepy out the nearest window? Haven't you seen Death Note or Chronicles? The gang is basically the usual movie mix for disaster. You have the introverted physics genius, the war veteran, the rich stuck-up business guy, a stock boy, a truck driver, and of course, the crazy enthusiast for the wild side. All 6 journey into the escape room and face the scariest moments of their lives. Some make it, some don't. Inverted houses, walls closing in on you, and all the juicy stuff. This is something you definitely want to see.
Talk about immersive.
Number 9. Girls with Balls. The French-Belgian dark comedy horror film features an all-girls volleyball team, the Falcons, who ended up stranded in the middle of nowhere after winning their female volleyball championship and their minivan breaks down. Imagine if Dodgeball, in The Most Dangerous Game, had a child that likes to wear short shorts with pitch screams. It doesn't help that they are smack in the middle of the forest during a special kind of hunting season. The girls are adorable but tough, and whoever is hunting them has to prepare for relentless prey. If you're the kind that appreciates a few good laughs and a lot of beating around the bush, Girls with Balls could do it for you. Number 8. Girl on the Third Floor. You probably already know how this goes. Family moves in, Resident Evil gets mad, things go belly up. A former lawyer named Don is battling with his excesses and past. He decides to buy an old rundown house that nobody wants to talk about. Not creepy at all considering that's a totally normal thing to do, right? Don attempts to renovate the place, but of course, you know what it is. The house had other plans. Nearly every detail Don attempts to change inside the house seems to be haunted and bleeds when touched. The house oozes oily fluid from every pipe, marbles appear out of nowhere. You're probably wondering what he's still doing there, and the bedroom collapses, revealing a viewing platform in the attic with walls covered with a child's painting. Strange developments ensue, including a one-night stand with his new nosy neighbor Sarah, who turns out to be in cohorts with the Resident Evil. Bodies start to pile, and heads start to roll in this chilling classic horror film. Number 7. Eerie. Eerie begins with a caring guidance counselor, Pat, at an all-girls private Catholic school trying her best to help her students process the shocking suicide of a classmate. By the way, anyone else ever wondered why the setting is always Catholic or an all-girls affair? As it turns out, the counselor is actually a medium that can communicate with the spirits of girls who died at the school. How convenient. She begins to have otherworldly chats with these spooks, and they seem to believe that the abusive nun, Mother Alice, is behind the mysterious deaths of the girls in the school. She starts conversing with the ghosts of the school's past, and they uncover shocking truths. This terrifying horror film is going to be an entertaining enough watch to give you the dose of suspense and supernatural horror you've been looking for. Number 6. In the Tall Grass. There's something you need to know. This movie is based on a Stephen King novella. Need we say more? If you know a thing or two about the underworld of horror and gore, you might find Stephen King's fingers in many pies. Some of the best horror movies to ever cross your screen were adapted from Stephen King's novels. I mean, the guy is a genius at messing with the psychology of even the toughest. Pet Sematary, Carrie, It, you name it, King's got you covered. In the Tall Grass follows a brother and his pregnant sister who venture into a vast field of tall grass in Kansas after hearing a little boy cry out for help.
Help
They soon discover that the field is anything but ordinary after they find the boy and somehow are separated from each other. Time and space stretch unnaturally in this field, and they're kept in a time loop with the boy and his parents who are also lost. Soon enough, blood starts to splatter as a head is crushed and things get extra trippy with hideous, creepy humanoid grass monsters. This movie, just like nearly every other movie adapted from Stephen King's work, is absolutely worth the watch and terror. Number 5. The Perfection. A psychological horror thriller for the road. This story is spun off the most common plots of jealousy and revenge. A troubled musical genius, Charlotte, is forced to leave the academy at which she was the star student to cater for her ill mother. Years after, her mother dies, and she reaches out to the head of the academy asking to be welcomed back to continue studying music. Beginning with ibuprofen that turns out to be hallucination pills and ending with an amputated arm, Charlotte is portrayed as the bad guy who strives to ruin the life of her replacement. This is Until a Chilling Truth, about a tattoo associated with sexual assault going on within the academy, and Charlotte's own warped and twisted way of saving Elizabeth from the clutches of the academy's predators. This chilling thriller will grab you by the arm, pun intended, and show you what it means to see a proper plot twist. Number 4. Wounds. In New Orleans, many bad things happen, especially in Hollywood. A simple bartender, Will, in New Orleans, started to lose his mind after he picks up a phone dropped at the bar he works in during a brawl. Will has a great job he likes, good friends, beautiful girlfriend who loves him very much. He just had to go on ahead and ruin it all by picking up a phone that he should have ignored. You might find yourself yelling at him while watching. He takes the phone home with him, and thus begins the end. He starts receiving blood-curdling messages from someone named Garrett, who claims that he's afraid that something from the tunnel, whatever that is following him. Will wakes up to texts from this mysterious Garrett, who starts sending him horrible photos. His girlfriend, Carrie, insists that they tell the police, but you know how these horror film characters do. Will and Carrie fall down the rabbit hole of no return, and a chain of hallucinations, wounds infected with inhuman flesh, and something conjured from the other side starts to plague Will, Carrie, and Garrett, and his other friends involved. Watch to find out if the fate of the simple bartender from New Orleans ends just as tragically as you might imagine. Number 3. Eli. Without spoiling too much, Eli follows the story of an 11-year-old boy named Eli, obviously, who has a severe condition which causes his immune system to be extremely weak. The boy is forced to wear an astronaut suit all the time because even ordinary air could kill him. In a frantic attempt at finding a cure for their son, Eli's parents take him to a creepy-looking mansion that has been turned into a medical facility. As if this doesn't scream Crimson Peak enough, the owner of the facility is a mysterious-looking Dr. Horn, who asks that Eli be left alone with her so she can cure him. The poor boy begins to undergo some excruciating and questionable, chilling-to-the-bone medical procedures in the house that isn't all it seems. Apparently, the long, underlit hallways of the mansion harbor creepy crawlies that no doubt love to go bump in the night. Eli quickly finds out that nothing about this place is normal, and he is forced to fend for himself. Number 2. Mark of the Devil. Honestly, there isn't much else to say. Look at the title. This fresh-out-of-the-oven horror movie follows one of the most classic niches in the entire horror genre, demonic possession. A professor who takes home a strange old manuscript, a facepalm would definitely be appropriate here, and her daughters transcribe the text and suddenly unleash an unspeakable evil. Have you learnt nothing, kids? One daughter promptly gets possessed, and a lot of gore quickly follows with a dash of exorcism and explicit scenes of torture that would probably make your insides churn. If you're a lover of mindless gore and blood, Mark of the Devil would be an amazing pick to sink your teeth into. Number 1. La Influencia. Making it to the top of our list is the horror film set in Spain and follows the story of a nurse, Alicia, who returns to her family home to care for her dying mother with her husband and 10-year-old daughter, Nora. It's also very fitting that the house in which she spent all of her childhood comes with haunted memories and witchcraft. Alicia's mother, Victoria, was once a witch and went crazy after the death of her husband. Unwilling to die, Victoria, despite being in a coma, starts to manifest in eerie communications with Nora. The little girl soon starts changing her behavior, and Victoria's hold on her tightens. Alicia begins a race against time to free her daughter from the clutches of the vile witch she once called her mother. And we all know there's nothing like a horror movie with a parent striving to save their kid.